Action. All right, welcome back. I'm back. You back. We back. Just like it's fine. Ho, you already know it's me. It's your girl P, your favorite bitch and your favorite witch. Welcome back to this week's episode of Postscript, also known as PS, the talk show. If you've been here before, like I said, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Let's get right into the episode. Let's start with P's favorite pieces. The first thing I just wanted to say, not even the first thing, the only thing I want to say with P's favorite pieces this week is I'm so happy that I got to see my friends. So, like, I just really love that when we, like, link up, it's real cute, real quick, real cute, real quick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we all live in different states. And when we are all in that one little place that's together, we're going to have time. And we had a time. So, very appreciative of that. And then I really just had so much fun at the quiz show. Like, just hearing them do songs that I've never heard them do. Like, they look so cute. Their little outfits were so cute. Like, oh my God, this show was so good. We had the best seats ever. Like, right on the little side. And then I turn around, his whole entire family is sitting right behind us. And I'm just like, look, we in the little VIP. Like, we lit. So, yeah, that was nice. That was fun. That was on Mother's Day and stuff. So I wrote his mom, like, a little letter and gave it to her and stuff. Just telling her, like, you know, happy Mother's Day. You know, thank you for believing in, you know, your son and in his talent and allowing him to pursue this, because us, Team Charquise, love this. So, yeah. I'm so mad they didn't meet and greet before the show, and it wasn't even, like, selling meet and greets at the show, because clearly they did it before the show, where they wasn't even selling no merch. That's what blew me. And clearly, you only could get merch if you bought the meet and greet, and if I would have known that, I would have bought the meet and greet ahead of time. But I wasn't even tripping off getting the meet and greet, because I know he always still meet and greet at the shows. But I wasn't even thinking it's a whole nother artist there. Like, you know, they got to compromise. So maybe that's not what Deja wanted to do. Not try to put that on Deja or nothing like that. But you just never know. Like, you know what I'm saying, when it's different people involved, other teams involved, more people involved. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I have for this week's Piece for Pieces. And then, like, just to get right into it, the thing that pissed me off was having to so quickly and shortly turn back around and come back home. Like, me and my friends didn't even get to really, like, we had a couple days, but we didn't get to really, like, go to the pool because it wasn't hot enough and nothing. Like, it was just, we didn't get to do our whole thing. Like, I usually cook on the grill. It'd be a whole thing. Like, we just got to do, like, a little bit of it. But that was that. That's what really pissed me off, having to come back to my real life. Okay, for this week's Conscious Con, as you've seen the theme of the last couple weeks, they do tie directly into, you know, our next segment. But for this one, I really just want to talk about and break down the Saturn return, because I am in my Saturn return. If you are in my peer group, you're also in your Saturn return. But the time frame of when it exactly hits, it is different for everybody depending on where Saturn is in your chart. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said knowing your birth chart is the best thing that you can know about yourself. Because when you know your birth chart, you know how things affect you. You know how you respond to things. You know how certain things charge you up or certain things drain you, or, like, you know what I'm saying? It's something in my eye, dog. So for me, you know, the planet Saturn is returning back to the astrological sign Aries, and in my chart, you know, I have the Aries Saturn. So I am in my Saturn return, and then it's going to, like, play the little game of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it's going to be in that until April of 2028, if I'm not mistaken. So once it stations direct, you know what I'm saying, and it doesn't play that little game of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like I was telling y'all a couple episodes ago about Pluto, when it was going back and forth between, I think, Aquarius and Capricorn, and then it stationed in Aquarius. So it's going to go back and forth a little bit, and then it's going to station in Aries. So once Saturn stations in Aries, like I said, it's going to be there until April of 2028. And the planet Saturn is in its fall in the astrological sign of Aries. And if you watch the last 2 episodes, you know I've talked about planets being in their detriment, in their fall, planets being in their exaltation. So exaltation means, like, at home. Detriment or fall just means, like, you know, it struggles to stay focused, to get things done. So, like, it's a little hard time for Saturn, you know what I'm saying? So that's why that Saturn return be so detrimental to some people, well, to most people, because you go through these big shifts and big lessons, and you maybe don't identify with certain parts of yourself that you used to, or certain people that you used to. So, and you can't bring old stuff with you to new places in your life, and that's a big thing that we have to learn to understand at this big age. So when we say Saturn return, it just returns back to where it was when you were born. Like I said, you know, your birthday is called your solar return, because the sun returns back to the sign that it was when you were born. We don't call it that, we just call it a birthday. So if you want to call it your Saturn birthday, you can call it that too. So with that return, there are changes, there are lessons, there are habits that are being, you know, looked over and processed with the audit. That's what I like to call the Saturn return, the audit. You know what I'm saying? And you have an audit every couple times in your life. The Saturn return happens from ages, 27 to 30, 31-ish, depending on who you ask. And then it happens again, 56 to 60, and then again, 84 to 90. So you get that little audit every so often in your life when Saturn really does return back to where it was when you, because it happens like early, like 20-something years, or 27 years, something like that. And then, like, okay, just add another little tidbit, like, if y'all familiar with the 27 Club, that's another thing that people experience, because that's when your Saturn return is first, you know, coming. So a lot of people feel like a lot of things are falling out in their life and they don't know how they want to cope with it. So a lot of people will end up joining the 27 Club. It's another thing like that in classical music. That's I think after your, it's another thing in classical music called the Curse of the Ninth. And it's very similar to that. Like, you know, after composers would complete their ninth symphony, they usually would die. And you know me, I'm a number girl with the numerology thing. 27 is 9. 2 and 7 is 9 all day. Like, everything be connected, dog. You just gotta know the rule book. You gotta know how to read the script for real. So let's just move on, because I'm good on that rabbit hole. So, you know, it may just feel like a little time, like it's chaotic right now. So it's just time for you to sit down and get a little bit more serious. But when I say that, I don't mean sit down and be like having negative self-talk with yourself about all the things that you aren't, or all the things that you're not doing, or all the stuff that you wish you would have did, or why, like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't say that. I just said sit down and get a little bit more serious. Learn your lessons. And then we're just going to move into hashtag I cannot make this shit up. Last week we talked about the full moon in Scorpio. So relating to what I was talking about with conscious cunt, you know, those feelings, those emotions, those opinions, those conversations, those one-on-ones, the uncomfortable thoughts, the shadowy things that come up, because y'all know Scorpio is that underworld energy, that subconscious energy, that shadow, you know? Whatever you may have felt or thought, you know, I want you to understand that those things are valid, and it is a way for you to speak your truth. Definitely ways for you to be assertive and not be an asshole. So keep that in mind. Remember that you can speak your truth, say what you need to say, stay on business, but you ain't gotta do too much. You ain't gotta do too much. All right, now we're gonna get into some dates like we always do. So from May 10th to May 25th, I did talk about, you know, the planet Mercury being in the astrological sign of Taurus. And I told you that a rebirth is on the way, change is on the way, a new page is being turned, because change doesn't come when you're comfortable, when you're cushy, when you like laid up, kicked back, not really worried about it. You know, when you're actively working and when you're uncertain and unsure, that's when change typically comes. So have your mind and heart open to a different perspective and point of view, even if it may not be your original one. You know? And then on Saturday, which is May the 17th, we're going to have a Uranus cazimi. So, you know, I told you that means that the planet Uranus and the luminary of the sun are going to be directly aligned up, and they're going to be like the shaking hands emoji. So Uranus is the planet of destruction, disruption, unearthing, chaos, disturbing the peace. So anytime, you know, the sun is in alignment with something, it's lighting up those things. So the things that quite are chaotic and disruptive and things that need to be disturbed will be illuminated. So that's going to be like, you know, your little woosah moment for real, because now that's giving you even more clarity and just a little bit of a refresher. And I was listening to Maddie's show, and she basically, from what I got from it, what she was talking about, like, you know how you see them videos, and this is what I got from it, like, you know how you see them videos of like athletes and stuff and they be mic'd up? And there's something, granted, they know that they are mic'd up, so, you know, I'm sure that they are a little bit more aware of what they're saying, but they still be themselves, you know what I'm saying? But also think about them being mic'd up and not knowing it, and maybe what they would say, and understand that difference of how I said, you know, you could be assertive and not be an asshole. So yeah. So with the Uranus Sun cazimi, you know, we're gonna feel that things are being exposed to us or unearthed, or like you're gonna find out what's the tea for real. And then that also gives you, everything is checks and balances, you know what I'm saying? So you can't be a person that look at everything that you lose, or everything that you no longer identify with, or everything that you move away from. You have to look at what's being exposed and then what's evolving. And more times than not, the things that's evolving outweigh the shit that's being exposed or maybe that's being left behind. So you may have had those face-to-face moments I was talking about last week, and those one-on-ones and those premonitions and those conversations, and maybe things were feeling unease. And so that was the breakdown for Saturday with the Uranus, because they need to be the breakthrough, right? Okay, all of that made sense. Like, I'm really getting so good at compiling these topics and making it just go on and on and on and on and on. That's why I really be stressing y'all, you have to watch the show every week. Because when I say, oh yeah, last week, bitch, I'm not saying what I said last week. You should have watched it. So just remember that Uranus is, you know, the planet of chaos, disruption, and with that, sometimes comes freedom and new structure, new assertion. You know what I'm saying? New business to stand on, new ventures. So be bold, be majestic, be assertive. I don't know, that's just what I keep hearing. And then the last thing I wanted to speak on was with knowing your birth chart. Another thing that's very important, how I was speaking about unconscious cunt with my Saturn return coming up, and knowing that my Saturn return is coming up because the planet Saturn is about to return back to the astrological sign of Aries, and I have an Aries Saturn. I know that, but the other thing that's important to know is the house. Because right now, my mind really been set on bigger picture, long term, what's really about to go down. But I have that mindset right now, and I've been thinking about that right now. And if you know, y'all know I'm a planner, and I've been talking about this since I was probably about 26. I'm like, yeah, when I get about to my 30s, I'm going to get my farm. I'm going to start my homestead. That's going to be my gift to myself, like my 30th birthday. Who knew that that was what I was feeling, and the pressure that was being applied to me personally from the cosmos? Because not only do I have an Aries Saturn, I have an Aries Saturn in the 10th house. And the 10th house is the house of legacy, career, public image, life. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, girl, I be doing this astrology shit on a P level. And that's all I can say. That's the end of the show. Bitches be mad because they be hating. And bitches be hating because they be mad. Bye, y'all. See y'all next week.